What's going on, guys? I am Toxic Jordan. Welcome back to the channel. So today we are jumping in and taking a look at my first clear in the red zone versus the Shadow Dragon army here. So we are using the Ginyu Force team, the 200% Ginyu Force team, which should not come as too much of a surprise at this point. They are just absolutely one of the best teams in the game, and they're so consistent. Oh, a quick note here, I have sped the video up to 1.25 speed because this is such a long fight. There's so many stages of it, and it takes so long to get through every stage. Rather than boring you guys with a 30-minute video clip, I just sped it up a little bit so it'll be a little more painless to get through. But yeah, so I had tried this stage quite a few times. I want to say I failed it for like 3 or 4 days before finally passing it. I tried out multiple different stacking teams, you know, with like Hybrid Saiyans, having the Ultimate Gohans and the AGL Kid Gohan and stuff like that that are able to stack up for you. I also tried it with Universe 6 Girls team, leading, you know, with the Tech Kill and Cauliflas, and then putting a bunch of stackers on there, with Physical Kefla and everything. And then I also tried it one day, or 2 days, with the LR Super Saiyan Force team. And I had the, you know, the LR Gods on the team as well. And I died with all of those teams because this fight is very hard from the beginning. So before your units get a chance to stack up, they kind of get clapped really hard. So you have to get really lucky in the beginning. And I was just getting the worst possible RNG over and over. And with having a limited 3 attempts per day on this, you know, I would have happily taken this on with one of those teams if I had unlimited attempts, but you only get 3 per day. So when I get bad RNG 3 times in a row because the very first turn has like some god-awful units on it that aren't able to defend themselves, then we just die outright. Especially because that first phase, I've noticed that he launched super attacks right away very, very often. So yeah, I was just struggling with all of these teams. Even with the LR Super Saiyan Force team and stuff, I was struggling quite a bit, surprisingly. So, you know, because on their very first turn they guard, but then on the second turn, they don't have their guard anymore, and their defense is still pretty low. And it's only turn 3 at that point, so they aren't able to transform yet to give themselves dodge or countering capabilities. So turn 3, I would end up getting clapped up with them quite a bit. But yeah, that is not the case, as you can see with this Ginyu Force team. It is very, very strong out the gate. Yes, some of these units do build up, but before they build up, there's still plenty of defensive capability available on this team. Between the Jason Birder dodging, and then the Rikuma Goldo having guard, and obviously the Angel Golden Frieza is not going to take any damage. Or just Golden Frieza, rather, isn't going to take any damage. So, yeah, very, very strong team altogether. And then, obviously, before we're transforming the Ginyus, they're going to be stacking defense. Which will be good, because the last few phases of this fight hit even harder than the rest of it. So we are going to want to make sure we have a little bit of extra defense built up before we transform them. But transforming them will be good, too. You'll see we are able to transform them a little bit later in the fight, and start raising their attack as well, which is really, really nice. But yeah, you can see that we're only taking like 80k on super attacks, which is really good. That is much more impressive than I could say for all the other teams that I attempted to bring into the stage. A lot of them were getting ridiculously, you know, slaughtered, even just by these first 2 Shadow Dragons, so... yeah, and having the Jace on the team, too, for the Scouter ability is really, really useful, too. It allowed me to put the AGL Captain Ginyus in the first slot here, so we can get an extra defensive raise before we move on to the next fight. Otherwise, I probably would have put Rikuma Goldo in the first slot, just to make sure if we were going to get supered, that they would tank it. So this is the point where I started to get a little bit nervous, only because, so the one weak point that I would say this team has is the physical Ginyu Force LR here. They are a really well-rounded unit. They're going to provide a lot of damage for us, especially on the int phase of this fight. And their defense can get pretty high if they manage to get like a double super or something like that. Because obviously they're raising defense on super attack. And they're a really good linking partner for the AGL Captain Ginyu. And then they are also a third Ginyu named unit on the team, which can be really, really helpful for the Rikumen Goldo, because obviously the Rikumen Goldo need to have an ally with Ginyu in the name on rotation with them in order for them to have their guard active. So, yeah, so having a third Ginyu named unit on the team can be very, very useful, just in case at the start of the fight your rotations are really bad, and you don't have either the AGL Ginyus with Rikumen Goldo, then they're still going to be able to guard on that first turn. You know, potentially. Like, your RNG would have to be really, really bad for all three Ginyus to not line up with them at the beginning. So, you know, those things can help you out. They also provide some passive defense to the team, so that is super useful as well. All that being said, they are still kind of a liability, because they are the one unit on this team that can really, really get you killed if they get hit with a super attack. And that did happen to me twice on the Shadow Dragons stage here. I believe it was during the next phase, after this Oceanus phase, I want to say. They ended up taking a super attack and then dying. Obviously, Jace is another unit that wouldn't be able to tank a super attack for us, but Jace has the Scouter ability, so we never have to worry about him tanking a super attack, because we know if there's going to be one there or not anytime he's on rotation. So we can always avoid him having to take a super attack. Whereas the physical Ginyu, unless you have Jace on rotation with him, like we happen to this turn, then you're not going to have that same luxury. So yeah, he did end up getting me killed a couple times. So you will actually end up seeing... Oh, actually, no, it wasn't on the next phase, because the next phase is against the Int Shadow Dragon here, and obviously the physical Ginyu is going to do really, really well against an Int enemy. But it was on the phase after that against the Ice Shenron, who is a STR type. That one is the one that kills us. Because, you know, obviously the physical Ginyu is not going to be able to tank a super attack from, you know, type disadvantage on Ice Shenron, who's like the second hardest hitting fight in this entire stage. So yeah, we did end up getting super attack there, unluckily, a few times. So yeah, we definitely reacted to that on this stage, is all I'll say for now. We'll see that coming up though. So yeah, this stage could be a little rough, because this guy seals, he has the chance to seal you. So as you can see, he sealed Rikumen Goldo there, which isn't a big deal for us because they have their guard up, so obviously they're not taking any damage. It's just nice that he didn't seal Captain Ginyu, because then Captain Ginyu is still able to get some defensive stacks, because obviously he needs to keep super attacking every single turn to gain those stacks. And then we got really lucky here that he didn't seal anybody, because in previous runs, he had been sealing Captain Ginyu on every single rotation, which was a bit of a bummer. So it took quite a few turns to get through his fight, but he luckily did not seal us here, so we were doing a lot better. At this point, we're peeking on the Dokkan attack, so I'm trying to be wary of not accidentally proccing the Dokkan attack early. Ideally, I'm going to want to get through the rest of this fight and then proc the Dokkan attack on the next phase. That would be the most ideal situation. So yeah, you can see there, even with type advantage, we end up taking... Oh, no, that was the AGL Ginyu. Okay, yeah. So, you can see that these enemies are starting to hit very hard. I imagine that the physical Ginyu would have taken over 100k as well, because obviously the AGL Ginyu's defense is much higher than the physical Ginyu's defense. So even though he doesn't have type advantage, he had a lot more defense to work with, and he still took a lot of damage there. So now we're at the point where I can consider transforming with Ginyu, because we have like 800k defense, which is plenty to work with, and I want to start raising his attack stat. That way we can we can get through this next STR fight quicker, because we kept dying on this STR fight. It was taking us too many turns where we had, you know, 1 or 2 of our vulnerable units that kept having to be in the way of the attacks because it took us too many turns to kill him. So I really wanted this AGL Ginyu to start getting some attack raises, that way we could get through that fight as quickly as possible. Also, I figured with the attack raises here, we were more sure to finish off this fight on this turn. That way we wouldn't have to waste the Dokkan attack here, and we'd be able to use the Dokkan attack during the next phase. And obviously with the Scouter up there, I knew that we didn't have to have Rikumen Goldo in the first slot, and we were able to rely on Ginyu there, so that was good. And then here, so this is good, but it's also a little unfortunate. So because we have the physical Ginyu here, if you take a peek at the orb field, we don't have the option to skip a super attack with Golden Frieza, and we're about to get the Dokkan attack. And I didn't want to give the Dokkan attack to Golden Frieza. I really wanted to give it to the AGL Ginyu. But the problem was, I was really scared to put physical Ginyu in the second slot because of everything I had said earlier about how he was getting us killed on this phase. I really wanted to rotate him off. But that meant I sacrificed all of the links that the Ginyus were going to provide to each other. So basically, we do end up getting the Dokkan attack here with the AGL Ginyu, but as you'll see, it doesn't really do much. It ends up pretty much being a waste of a Dokkan attack anyway. So yeah, it is a little bit of a bummer. So because of that, because we weren't going to hit very hard, and oh yeah, so I also end up using the double Whis right here because he had been supering me in that last slot so many times, and I just wasn't going to die to that again. So I was like, you know what, just in case he does super attack at the end, now I'm protected and I don't have to worry about anything. I do think it ended up being a waste though. He didn't end up super attacking me there in that ending slot, but he had done it the 2 times before, and this was my last run on this for the day, and I did not, you know, I did not want him to get supered. I was just so nervous about it. So when I saw the super go off right there, I was like, man, okay, we could have still potentially no-itemed this, but at this point I was just much more concerned with getting the win in general, rather than, you know, getting the full no-item run. So I was not too concerned about it. But here, now we're looking pretty good. So we have 1,000,000 defense with this AGL Ginyu. Seems good. Obviously, we've got some mad defensive support on rotation. But yeah, 1,000,000 defense is going to be nothing to worry about here. So we easily throw him in the first slot. We're going to get some, you know, massive damage on this turn because we're going to get a few additionals here. And then obviously his attack stat is just going to continue to rise. It's a little unfortunate that we were only able to get the 1 Ginyu transformed, but that's kind of the caveat with this team. Because it's so good defensively, you really need something bad to happen in order for your HP to get low enough that you're going to be able to transform. And then obviously once you transform with one of them, he fully heals you, so you're going to need another sticky situation to be able to get your HP low enough to transform again. You know, and a lot of times in these red zone fights, it's really hit or miss. Like, you have to stay protected. It's not wise to, like, purposely damage yourself. Because I thought about doing it a few times of putting, you know, the STR Jace in slot 1 just so he'd get clapped. And then we'd be able to lower our HP enough to, you know, use the active skill. But that can be a really, really risky situation. Just because, you know, you might honestly take enough damage to just die. And you don't want to die that way. It's honestly better to just, you know, like slowly go through the event, and keep stacking defense and not be able to stack your attack and just have it take more turns to finish the fight, rather than hurriedly, you know, force the transformation so you can get attack raises and then end up dying in the process. And I think this turn is actually a perfect example of how that can look. Because you're going to see Jace get attacked here, and this does quite a bit of damage. So we're only able to get the 1 super attack raise, defensive raise, and then there you can see he's taking like 100k per normal. I actually thought we were going to die. That was very, very close to death here. So now the unfortunate part is that this is the transformed Ginyu. So we're not able to use his transformation on this turn, because obviously we had that Ginyu last turn. So we're just going to have to survive this turn. Because of that, I just made sure to put the Rikuma Goldo in the first slot, just to stay as safe as possible. Because obviously they are the best possible defensive unit that we could have in that slot. And then obviously we need to finish off the fight here in these first 3 attacks. I don't want the physical Ginyu to get attacked at all, because obviously they cannot take a super attack. So if that were to happen, that would be bad news for us. And it's always a bummer too when you're already like 20 plus minutes into the fight and then you die, because then you just have to start all over. So yeah, luckily Ginyu gets a crit there, and we are able to move on to the final phase. So a few interesting things happen. The first thing is, so luckily we were able to get enough type orbs last turn to heal up above 40%, because the AGL Golden Frieza would have been screwed on this turn if we didn't have that. So we used the transformation to heal back to full, but this guy has locked us up, so we can't change our rotation around at all. We are stuck with our rotations how they are. So yeah, it's a very, very good thing that he is super attacking at the end there, because Ginyu should be able to tank that super attack. He's got some good defense at this point, and then also after getting a few attacks off, he's going to have a decent dodge chance too. So there's a chance that he'll be able to dodge this super attack outright as well, and then we really won't have to worry about much. So yeah, we did get pretty lucky with how he locked up our rotation. That could have been worse for us. Though I suppose all 3 of these units have some pretty solid defensive capability against a super attack, so. But like if Jason Birder got locked there and then they didn't end up dodging the super attack, then that could have been really bad. Because you could see Ginyu with type neutral and way higher defense than Jason Birder still took 200k from that, and you know, obviously Jason Birder probably would have just died. So yeah, Rikuma Goldo get locked in slot 2, so we're gonna have to depend on Ginyu in slot 1 here, but obviously he's almost at 1,000,000 defense, so nothing to worry about there. And now that both of our Ginyus are transformed, we're just going to be doing exponential damage, and we should be done with the event in a turn or 2 here. This really shouldn't take too much longer. It really just depends how many additional attacks we're going to get with our Captain Ginyus, because obviously they're going to be dealing out a lot more damage than everyone else. So we end up having another good turn here. We're able to put the Golden Frieza in slot 1. Luckily, the physical Ginyu didn't get locked on a bad slot or something, because that could have been very bad for us. We're able to get a lot of type orbs there and get our HP almost back to full, which is very helpful too. So again, the name of the game is just hoping that the physical Ginyu doesn't get super attacked, and of course he super attacks Frieza, so we are sitting pretty again. And at this point, it's just looking like we're going to be a shoo-in for the win here, because we have a very, very strong rotation coming up next, because we're going to have both of our Ginyus on rotation with, I believe, Jason Birder, or with Rikuma Goldo, right? So yeah, that should be a GG type of turn, especially because this guy has 2.5 health bars left. Yeah, so the unfortunate part was that he sealed one of our Ginyus in the middle slot. Locked him in the middle slot, rather. So we weren't able to maximize all the links that we could on this turn. But one of the Ginyus procs their medium chance to have their Scouter active, so we're able to see that the super attack is coming up front there. So yeah, and we don't end up even needing the third Ginyu, I think. I'm pretty sure that the Ginyu in the middle slot is able to finish this off for us. But yeah, this team is just, like, ridiculous. It's just super consistent. There's really not a lot of situations that you can put them in where they're going to struggle. You know, and so with everything I said about the physical Captain Ginyu Force LR, if you're, you know, struggling with him, you could honestly just take him off and put on the Tech Golden Frieza too. And then you would really, really be protected. I think I might actually try that team against Broly, with both the Golden Friezas and then the rest of the Ginyu Force team here, and see if I'm able to catch a W on that team as well. But yeah, so that is how we got our win against Shadow Dragons. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you enjoyed what you saw here, then come be a part of the Toxic Tribe with a like, comment, and subscribe on the video. We are still trying to get to 77 subscribers, so help me meet that goal. I would greatly appreciate it. That is going to do it for this one, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.